The sport's really funny. It's crazy how you start thinking that certain things are supposed to happen in college football, then those are the things that just do not happen. For instance, we all thought that Florida State and Miami was going to be an undefeated matchup because that was what was supposed to happen. Florida State had just steamrolled Alabama in their building, and it seemed like they had no competition. They had two cupcakes and some Virginia team. What's Virginia going to do to Florida State? Well, beat them, as it turns out. So that's one thing that happened that I bet most of the college football public, ourselves included, we're not expecting. Ole Miss maybe being an SEC championship contender. Who would have thought that? Especially when they were playing LSU. Heck, people were putting LSU in the top 5 and because of a good win over a bad Clemson team and another good win over another bad Florida team. Turns out sometimes when you beat a lot of bad opponents on your record and you're undefeated, that doesn't mean you're a great team. It means you just so happen to play a lot of people who were a lot worse than you. Ole Miss was not worse than LSU, I'll tell you that much. Lane Kiffin took the news of his daughter dating LSU's linebacker to heart. That game, that final score, not as close as the game actually was. LSU was struggling to stay in it. Then you had Alabama. Man, they looked so pitiful in week 1. I was going to write them out of the college football playoff race. I know I picked them last week, but man, they went into Georgia and they actually beat the Georgia Bulldogs. They're back in the thick of it. Again, not supposed to happen after what happens to you in week 1. You're not supposed to go on the road and beat a top 5 opponent that hasn't lost at home in 6 years. Alabama just did it. And what are they going to do for it? What is their reward for that? They get to play another undefeated team at Bryant-Denny. SEC grind just never stops. Penn State. Oh, Penn State. They were supposed to win this game against Oregon, and they emphatically did not. Oregon gave them every opportunity to try to win at the end there. Same story. Just could not get it done. So what does that mean for this week? Let's check it out. What that means for this week is we've got a ranked matchup between Alabama and Vanderbilt in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Last time this happened, I don't know. I think the iPhone probably wasn't a thing. Almost certainly wasn't a thing. Maybe even the internet wasn't a thing last time this happened. Pretty sure it wasn't. But what we've got is we've got an Alabama team that is finally showing some resolve after losing to numerous bad opponents last year and losing to Florida State in emphatic fashion to start this year. Maybe Florida State isn't as good as they looked in that game. Side note. And they're going up against Vanderbilt with a full head of steam. They are throwing the ball at a clip they weren't even doing last year. They are running it better than they were last year. That defense is better. This is just a better Vanderbilt football team. And they deserve to be ranked going into Bryant-Denny, which, again, one of those things you think isn't supposed to happen. Vanderbilt's not supposed to beat Alabama 2 times. Can they actually do it? This is... Man, it's another matchup classic, I'll say. Alabama, they can't stop the run. It's not like they're not trying. They just can't do it. Georgia ran for 220 yards at 7 yards a pop. I don't know how Georgia loses when their offense operates like that, but they did. So Alabama can't stop the run. Vanderbilt can run the ball really stinking well. They got Cedric Alexander, who's going to be, he is a stud running back the SEC, I should say. He is one already. And then Diego Pavia, we all know he can run the ball. He's starting to throw it a little bit more, too. Last year, he was more of like the typical dual threat. You know, you can scramble and you can make some plays with your legs, but it's a little iffy if you'll hit some big plays throwing the ball. He can hit them now. They've been doing it with stunning effectiveness over the start of this season. Alabama, what are they going to do on offense? Because Vanderbilt, according to the stats, has a really good defense. They have a great run defense and statistically a good pass defense. Better than the one they faced last week in Athens. The model, man, this is crazy. The model is picking Vanderbilt to upset Alabama in Tuscaloosa. I said this last week. I thought that Alabama was going to beat Georgia purely because I just thought the matchups were terrible for Georgia and that Alabama was going to find some way to eke out a win at the end there, and they did. I got to pick Vanderbilt here. It's the same thing, is it not? It's the exact same thing. Granted, the talent levels are different, but that loss to Florida State, that happened. We don't get to just sweep it under the rug just because Alabama finally won a big game on the road. It happened, and it could happen again because of the way Vanderbilt operates that offense, that option offense that gave Alabama fits at Florida State. It can happen again. High-scoring game. Wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world if my pick was wrong and Alabama won, but hey, we get to see. And it's going to be a great game. Who would have thought that? That's another thing. Who would have thought Vandy versus Alabama would have been must-see TV again for the second year in a row? I wouldn't have thought it. Here we are. Then later on Saturday, we got Miami going to Doak Campbell Stadium to play Florida State. Miami is going to be in a hostile road environment for the first time all season. And, man, they have a defense that will travel. That defense, I'm not doubting that defense is going to show up. Ruben Bain, the other guys on that defensive line, they are going to give Florida State fits this week. How's Florida State going to respond? This is I would say probably this is the best opponent they have faced so far in the season. They are coming off of a really bad loss in overtime to Virginia, which they should have won. Turned the ball over and couldn't stop the run. We didn't see that weakness from Florida State in the Alabama game, did we? They just couldn't stop Virginia. And that's really bad because Miami has a better run game. They have better tailbacks. They have a better offensive line. They've got a better defense than Virginia did. So Florida State, they really got their work cut out for them in this one. In this game, I think there's a lot more at stake here than just an on-field result, a win in conference play. You see, you have the two premier programs in the state of Florida. I know. Florida is supposed to be a premier program, but look at them. They're dead in the water. We're not going to break down Florida versus Texas this week. They're going to lose. They probably should have, but they're going to find a way. Florida, not a premier program. Not right now, anyway. So, again, we got Florida State and Miami, the two best programs in Florida right now. That state, it is loaded with premier college football talent. Every single year, there's tons of kids out there that are going to start in the NFL one day. This game, the loser of it, it's going to look really bad for them. With Florida lagging behind, everyone's going to look to see, like, who's the best? Who is the best? Last year, Florida State looked awful. But if they show up this game, if they actually play up, and if that loss to Virginia last week, if that gives them like a little kick in the tail and they play a lot harder than they were going to otherwise, they can win this game. And I know this because the model says so. The model is picking Florida State to beat Miami at home. This is tough. The model went 3 for 3 in its picks last week. It picked Alabama to beat Georgia, picked Ole Miss to beat LSU, picked Oregon to beat Penn State. Those were the 3 biggest games last week. Picked them all right. I'm not going with the model. I think Miami's going to win. I think that what we thought of Florida State may not actually be what that team is, at least from a defensive standpoint. That offense is lights out. Gus Malzahn is throwing every kind of wonky, weird run concept he can, and just people aren't prepared for it, because who really wants to play football like that if we're being serious? But Florida State's defense is now a little suspect after that Virginia game, and they really haven't been great in pressure rate. Miami's offensive line is fantastic. Their running backs are fantastic. And if that side of the offense just holds up their end of the bargain, Carson Beck may get rattled. I don't know if it'll be to the extent that it will cost Miami a game. So I'm going to go with the Canes. I think they're going to beat Florida State, and they're already number 3 in the nation. Maybe this could move them up a few spots. We'll have to see. Before we go, I want to address the stuff that's been going on in terms of potential sponsors. A lot of you who have been following us for a long time know that we used to dearly love the brand Dr. Pepper. We wanted that company sponsoring us. We wanted to always have their products on the show. And we're just not standing for it anymore. And I've had people ask me why. They said, you devoted so much of your time and energy to try to promote a brand. Why have you just dropped them? Well, it's easy. They didn't give us the same time and energy. I mean, I did everything I could to make that company look good. I did everything I could. I bought so much Dr. Pepper. I bought so many shirts. I bought so many hats. I even bought Dr. Pepper socks. And we got no recognition for it. Man, you just can't give your time to something like that, who's someone or some company who's going to act like that and just not even acknowledge all of the kind things that you've done for them. We were very kind to Dr. Pepper on this show. We just don't have time for that. It's like Georgia continuing to put up with Mike Bobo, even though time and time again he refuses to acknowledge like how those fans pack the stadium. What's that? Oh man, home game winning streak, 33 in a row. Yeah, I'm going to throw another screenplay. The defensive back blew it up. Let's try again. That's it. And we can't be doing that. We're a Pop-Tart show now. Will Pop Tarts show us the kindness and return it the way that Dr. Pepper failed to? We'll have to see. I like my odds a little better, though. I like my odds a little better with Pop Tarts than I do with Dr. Pepper. That's all I've got. Have a great Saturday. Watch out for the games that we didn't mention that are going to inexplicably become like all-time classics this week. It always happens. You know, you got a sleepy Saturday, not many ranked on ranked matchups. There's going to be some good games. Some stuff's going to happen, again, that you thought wasn't supposed to happen, but this sport has no script. There are not things that are supposed to happen, just craziness that does happen. Take care.
Oh, I'm sure I told you that this model is the way we run it.